Okay, Klaus. So we're in the potting shed looking at soil. I suppose, like many vegetable growers just starting off, I don't tend to care a huge amount about this stuff. Don't give it much thought, really.
Call it stuff. So
Stuff.
you're nearly as bad as the Americans that call it dirt.
Yeah.
Soil is the basis of all life. A healthy, fertile soil will produce healthy vegetables, free of pests and diseases. So you have to get the soil right, and nothing else will matter after
Okay.
that. Some people are lucky enough that they inherit a good soil like that, but usually we don't. And it's very simple to make it better.
So what's in this, and how does it get
Yeah.
formed, and what decides whether we've got a good or a bad soil?
Yeah, well, all soils have been formed from ground up rock.
Okay.
Over the last 10,000 years, probably most of our soils were formed, with the exception of the peat. That's different. So there'll be 4 particle sizes in it, and it's very simple. You have the sand particles, silt, and clay particles. Sand being the biggest, silt the one in the middle, and clay particles are tiny, tiny little particles.
Okay.
So simple. And then the 4th one, which you have in some soils, is the peat,
Okay.
which is just organic matter that hasn't fully decomposed. A clay soil, for example, this one would have probably 80% clay. You can nearly do pottery with that one.
Yeah.
Maybe 10% silt, 7% sand, and 3% organic matter.
Okay.
This one being very good, higher organic matter content. I guess it has probably 7% organic matter. That gives it a dark color. And maybe 50% sand, 30% silt, and 12% clay.
This one here is very heavy peat,
Yeah,
I'm
that's
guessing, considering it's so
correct.
dark.
Yeah. That's only organic matter. That
Right.
has no mineral particles in it. No sand, silt, or clay. It's
Okay.
only organic matter.
Okay. And people would probably wrongly think, I think including myself when I saw this, think that this is very fertile because it's so dark, and yet that's
Correct.
not necessarily
Correct.
the case.
It's potentially a very good soil with a good structure, but it has no nutrients in it. Maybe we'll point out a clay soil now would be naturally more fertile than a sandy soil,
Yeah.
and that's because the nutrients don't wash away as easily.
Okay.
But on the other hand, it can get quite waterlogged.
Yeah, we can see at the end of this a little bit of what looks to me like rust. Is
Yeah,
that what it is?
That's
or-
exactly what it is. It's
Okay.
iron oxidized. So,
So
that
that-
means that the water level comes up in wintertime, and then it retreats again in summertime, and that leaves the rusty particles from the iron which is in the soil.
For somebody to test in their garden, a good first step is to actually physically go out and dig,
Dig a sod up
this
like
size.
that.
Have a good look at
Yeah.
what are we looking for
But
effectively?
you can actually only tell it when you compare, when
Yeah.
you go to different areas of your garden
Mhm.
and compare and see how they look. So what you're looking out for is the color. The darker, the better,
Yeah,
because the darker it is, the more organic matter is in it.
yeah. So we can see.
So that's
of
light.
our 4, this is the lightest.
The lightest,
certainly.
with the lowest organic matter,
Yeah.
correct.
And so there are a couple of tests that we can do to determine, what type of soil we have.
What type of soil you
Picking it
have,
up, feeling it.
and how good it is as well,
So
yeah.
what do we do?
So
there?
the first is the sausage test.
Okay.
So what you'll do is you pick up a small handful of soil, spit on it, or use some water, and see if you can roll it into sausage.
Okay.
You use that, and I'll use this sandy soil here.
Okay. So I've kind of
Whoops.
fairly easy seems to have formed into a.
Yeah. Now the thinner the sausage, the clearer it is. My God, you could make a pot
Yeah.
out of that.
So this is like potter's clay almost.
Yeah, see, mine doesn't work. It'll flake. So that's not a clay soil, whereas you have a clay soil.
Okay. Very good.
So
Now I
the
know.
next step is the crumble. See how it crumbles. You take some soil and you crumble it, and the easier it flakes. See, mine goes really. Oh, that's a dream, isn't it? That sample here.
Whereas this tends to kind of stick together in clumps.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
Not so good.
Very sticky. That's called blocky, and that's crumbly. So not good.
So if I'm unfortunate enough, which I think I am, unfortunately, in my own garden, to have this, am I stuck with this, or can I improve it?
Very easily, yeah.
Okay.
You kind make the worst, or using organic methods, you could make the worst soil into the most beautiful,
Okay.
productive garden. very simply.
So, so physically, what are we doing to make that
Compost, compost, compost.
So
Yeah.
adding lots
Adding
of
compost.
and manure and organic matter over the winter.
Anytime you could dig in well-rotted compost in springtime.
Okay.
Be the best, or you could mulch your bed, or as well with seaweed over the winter time.
Okay, and effectively, we're talking about trying to turn that into something
like
better.
that. Can I just show you? Will you make a heap there, and I have some lovely compost here. And if we blend the two,
so you can see almost straight away.
Isn't it?
To
Look
lighten
at
it up and darken it,
and it'll crumble nicely now. So that's all you need to do.
Yeah.
And if you do that every year, in no time you have a beautiful soil. Compare that now, the two of them, huh?
Yeah, absolutely, no comparison.